Hi, I'm Yuval Zommer. This is my latest book. It's called The Wild. It's published by the wonderful Oxford University Press, and I very much hope you get to share this book in your classroom. It's a story which says a lot about the world and how we can affect change in it environmentally, and it's a celebration of nature and our relationship with it. The inspiration for this book was the need to make the environment more accessible to kids. So I wanted to show the environment not as an abstract concept, but as a living, breathing thing that's alive, so kids can respond to it when it's doing well, and they can also see when it's not doing so well, and they can also see what they can do about it. The first thing I would suggest for teachers, if using this book, is actually to get the children to draw the wild as they might imagine it. So they might have a slightly different version or a very different version of what the environment would look like, who would be in it, and how does everything coexist together. If children are learning to read and write, you might also want them to label all the different life forms that are in our environment, and then have a discussion about what makes it healthy and how do things coexist together. I just basically would love children to use their own imagination and tell their own stories about the environment. This is one of my favorite spreads from the book because it shows the power of the community. It shows getting together and how little voices can become a much larger voice. I would encourage the kids to perhaps photocopy the page, add speech bubbles, and see what they would write for each of the people represented here. What are their ideas about changing or how to, and just have fun with it. One of the most important things I wanted to highlight was that change is possible because change can be big or small, and change can happen in our immediate environment. It can happen in the schoolyard, it can happen in our front gardens, it can happen in our cities, and everybody can do their bit. So I wanted to make change something that's possible for all of us, and with little steps, and maybe starting in your front garden or in your school. Children to take away from this book a message of hope, a message of everything is possible, and yes, our environment can be healthy with a little help, and the message is basically one of optimism. I'm going to read you the last page from the book, which goes like this. The changers filled the wild with hope. Slowly, slowly, the wild was able to give again, but this time nobody took without giving something back. My childhood favorites, I mean, I read lots of books. Some of them were picture books, some chapter books. I even remember looking at a lot of art books because I'm kind of mainly visual. But the ones that they always come back to mind are things like Treasure Island, The Little Prince, Wind in the Willows, and I think what all my favorite books, all my favorite then books have in common is something to do with a journey or exploring or finding out something about the world, and a lot of it is to do with nature, and I think that's the kind of natural curiosity of every child is we look at it with full of awe and wonder, and we want to find out and have adventures in a nice, healthy, green world.